Hello, Africa. You're welcome back to Emotional Master Convos. We're talking about emotional abuse in relationship and marriage. Thank you, Prash. You're welcome, Prash.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You're welcome, Belinda. You're welcome, Amala.
Thank you. Good to be
Okay,
here.
and you're welcome also. Thank you for staying with us. So, what is emotional abuse in your own experience? What's your definition? Whether your definition or your experience of emotional abuse? Anyone wants to start?
Since we're all looking at you.
Yeah, we're all looking at you.
Okay.
You look good.
Words that can pull down,
Yeah.
in my opinion, from someone you love, or anyone at all, to be honest. But I just think that it hurts more when it comes from someone you care about, because in that case, their opinion about you counts. And so when someone who you care about or someone who you love, pulls you down with their words and actions, that's emotional abuse for me. Anything that takes you from here to here, literally makes you feel less of yourself, lose confidence in yourself, make you wonder if you're even okay, complete. That's emotional abuse for me. I think it's very underestimated because, like you said earlier, many times we don't even know it's happening because there's no physical abuse, there's no punching and slapping. But, you're in a relationship long enough to realize that when I came in, I was a bubbly, happy person, but now, I'm literally sad, wondering whether I'm even woman enough.
Yes.
That's emotional abuse for me.
Awesome. I agree with you. Belinda, have you had an experience? You can relate.
I told him when he was like, this is what they're talking about. I
can't relate.
What about in a relationship? We chatted, a part of emotional abuse or psychological abuse is manipulation too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, where you're in a relationship and someone consciously is being manipulative.
Yeah.
Making you do something you normally would not want to do and messing up with your head. Yeah, that's emotional abuse.
Okay.
Are you ready to share now?
So, no, I had an ex who was very manipulative. But unfortunately, Jam was the wrong gay. So, so we didn't really have time for us to explore his abuse because it was something that I would always call out and shut down immediately.
Okay.
So, and then that didn't even, in fact, there was a time that, so there was something that he would always do. He would be quiet, go quiet. And
the silent
silent treatment. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Nothing. Silence.
Okay.
So sometimes, I'd go over to his place and I'd be like, what is the problem? Tell me what the problem is. Drag, this dragging can go on for hours before he would now finally say what is bothering him. No, he wouldn't even finally say it. So I would be like, okay, I'm going since you don't want to talk about it. And then I'm going, right? And then I get to my car. Then he would send me a message. I come back.
Ouch.
So I'll come back inside, and then he would tell me what his problem is. Can't remember anymore. They were all very irrelevant. And when he finished, I'll be like, wow. So that's it. That's it. And unfortunately for him, I wasn't one of those people that would oh my God, you don't talk anything. I'm like, okay, since that's the problem, bye. Whenever you're ready to talk, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Then you say, hey, let's talk. And we'll talk about it. Then make out.
Yeah.
And then I'm such a drama-free human. Keep it away from me. So I just be like, the next time this happens, I'm not doing it again. I'm not, And then it did happen, and that was it.
And that's how
the
build.
cookie
Yes.
crumbles.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
That's how you dodge the bullet.
yeah, you did
You
dodge.
did dodge
you
the
did dodge
bullets.
the bullets.
Yeah.
And you didn't dodge it, or did you find out from the beginning?
Yeah.
Did you even know?
Well,
'Cause some
I
people-
think at that time I was a bit too young to know
Mm.
anything about emotional abuse or know there's a kind of tag to what it was.
Mm.
But definitely, I wouldn't say that the signs were not there. The manipulating, the silent treatment, the need for control.
Mhm.
So yeah, so basically emotional abuse is someone eroding your spirit, like tactically breaking your spirit, and it's subtle. Sometimes it's
Which is
subtle.
so dangerous.
Yes, which is very dangerous. So it's happening, you're changing every day. You don't even realize you're changing, you know. So, but it's over time, it's people that knew you will know that this is not you. And sometimes because you're in the midst of it, you don't even realize it's not you. You just feel that, okay, everybody's changing, me too, I'm changing, but you're not changing for the better. And that's because somebody is eating into the fabrics of your person, because I think that's really what it is, breaking down another man's spirit, another person's spirit.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's very dangerous because it's not physical. You're not being hit.
Yeah.
So nobody sees the scars on you.
True that.
But deep inside of you, you're gone, like you're a serious goner. You don't go finish, you know. So it's really, it's terrible.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Wow. Emotional abuse is a way to control another person by using emotions to criticize, embarrass, shame, blame, or otherwise manipulate another person. So sometimes it's how you're being criticized, you know, and when it comes from your partner, it's something else.
Sure.
You know, why we're focused on women today, but we should not forget also some men experience emotional abuse, right? Because if every time you're telling him, you don't do it right, you don't do it right because you have a particular expectation, there's a positive criticism, or like you say, you're running down his spirit and, man, if I'm not good enough for you, then why am I here? So in your own case, some weeks ago, you reached out to me, yeah, and you said your marriage the divorce is finally ended, right? And we celebrated in our own way. I don't know if you celebrated.
Yes, I have.
It says, oh, what's
I know
I never quite understand how we move from I love you, I can't live without you to oh my God, it's over. That process is still strange to me. Like will always be, because it's a lot. You know the amount of emotional that's like an emotional roller coaster you have to go through to decide that this can no longer go on. Like this person whom I loved so much is now the person I don't even want to see at all.
Yes. So now
a
since
lot.
we've not been there, but she's been there.
Yeah.
So how did it?
But we have all been there. in one
Yeah.
way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a marriage.
It's not,
Yes,
yeah.
it's a marriage. Yes.
Okay, so how do we go from
Yeah.
that
In
point?
summary,
In summary,
how did it? That's 16 years, right?
yeah, 16.
16 years of marriage.
Yes, 16 years of marriage. So,
So
well, you want to cry?
Just a
No, there's no
little
need
bit.
to. No need to. I'm not crying.
Yeah.
I think it just gets to a point where you know that I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. This is killing me. And when it gets to that point, it's like, especially when you've been the person trying to keep the peace. Yes, and that's one of the reasons why you should never take your partner for granted.
Sure.
Yes, because it gets to a point where it's like
Everyone has a breaking point.
everyone has a breaking point. I've had it up to here. I can't do this anymore. And there's such a thin line between loving someone and, will I say hate or being indifferent to the other person. It's such a thin line. And you can just do that turn.
Yeah.
Flip.
Yes, you can just flip because you've been trying to manage something. At some point, you just flip. You just flip. And for most of us women, once you get there,
Yeah.
it's tough.
I hear for the woman, a woman may have signed out from that marriage to
5 years ago.
Five
Yeah,
years
and
ago.
still be there.
Yeah.
so the day she stands and works
Wasn't the day she
That's not the
said
day it
it.
happened. I
wasn't
feel
that
that.
day.
I signed up
Oh, true.
years before.
Yeah,
I signed
I know when we talked last year, the process was still on, and wow. Anyway, we're going on a short break. When we come back, we'll talk more about emotional abuse in relationship and marriage. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This Emotional Missile Converse. We're still talking about emotional abuse in relationships. You know, one thing I like to put out there, when emotional abuse happens, it's important first that you tell yourself, I don't deserve it. You know, because sometimes we could give ourselves a reason. Maybe it's because of just my mouth. Maybe it's because I did this. Maybe it's because, so
Yeah.
it is important that you tell yourself, it's not my fault and I don't deserve it, and remind yourself.
You know how I always say that?
Yeah, you've had an experience in a relationship,
Yes,
right?
exactly. You know how I always say that it's important to have a good sense of self? That's the reason why when she was talking, I could totally relate. Because when you have a good sense of self, your own confidence, you know who you are, it's easy to identify that something is wrong. And also how you talked about checking out. I know that I was in a relationship where we would have arguments, and then as against us addressing the issue, you're saying things like, oh, you think you're too smart, or you think you're too... I'm like, but that's not the It's not
So
about...
you think that is,
Yeah,
has been taken
What
you
the,
inside.
yeah, I'm like, this
Truly
thing we're talking
coming out.
about now is a totally separate thing. How is it
How is it?
that is now about me being proud or
Yeah.
me having too much confidence? Like, why? Why is it always, you know? And I know that I remember that one day we had an argument, totally unrelated. And he goes, you are nothing. And that's the day I checked out, right in my head. Because we're having this argument, and then I heard it, and it didn't register. And so I went back and said, did you say that I'm nothing? And he said, oh yeah, because you think you're too this, and you think the world revolves around you. You're not, I said, everything you're saying doesn't make any sense to me. Did you say that I'm nothing? Because maybe to him it didn't mean anything. But for me, it was the entirety of everything he had been trying to say the whole time, right? And you're trying to say that because you feel bad about yourself. It's you who has a problem with the way that you see yourself. And that's why you feel threatened by my confidence or by my sense of self. And it hurts me so much. And I thought to myself, like, this is emotional abuse.
Yeah.
It is. Like, if I'm going to be with you and care about you, and we're in the early stages of the relationship, and you can say to me that I'm nothing, how are you going to support me in the whole, journey of my life? I'm going to want to go into different things. Some things I'm not very sure about. I'm going to need your support. I'm going to need you to say, you know what, I got you. Like, you can do this.
Yeah.
It's okay. If I hear you say
Or
in my
just
head,
even
it's nothing.
addressing conflict without
It's-
having to say you're
yes,
nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's how you truly feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you feel. This is just you portraying your insecurity onto me. It makes no sense at all. And so I checked out in my head that day. I'm like, no, I can't do this. And then we continued. And the moment you check out, everything else becomes louder.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even the
there's clarity.
get out is
Yeah.
like, that's why you say I'm nothing. Everything is louder. Everything now begins to make sense to you. Like, oh, no wonder. This is how you actually feel about me. And
This is your point. you actually started talking about some of the things I like to bring up, how to recognize it.
Yes.
And this is one: humiliation, negating, and criticizing. When they belittle your accomplishments, you know, because we say you are nothing, really.
All of this?
All of this?
All of this?
Is nothing.
Like, all of this is
Then
nothing?
you know, because when you find out, even some of them get to derogatory pet names.
Yeah.
You know, you say, come on, it's not that deep. But it's meant to, what's it called, kill your spirit, you know. And the name calling comes up, character assassination, you know. And somehow they're telling people that woman, she's a whole mess. That man, he's the reason why I'm here, right? I would have been better.
And it's funny when you don't even know that you're being talked about.
Yeah.
So you just come out where the friends are and everybody's just acting awkward, like trying to be normal. And you're like, why is everybody acting like this? The assassination has already gone on. People like, this woman is the reason why I'm like this.
Yes, and one way
They
to,
blame you for everything.
you know, when they patronize you and say, you know, Belinda, you're doing well, but this particular topic is beyond your comprehension. Can you,
Yes.
can you know?
Are you serious?
Oh yes. What do you think you know?
Yeah, I know this.
do you-
No,
this
your
not
partner saying, or your partner's
your,
friends
your
saying
partners
No, your partner.
telling you, sorry, this is not a discussion for ladies. Sorry, can you
this. Excuse us.
excuse us? You can't understand this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So that's emotional abuse. That's how to recognize it. So you can look at it, yeah, and it is, you know. So
It's just very unfortunate because, I mean, now we're like narrowing it down to, okay, both relationships and marriages, but relationships is everywhere, with even friendships,
Yeah.
with
True.
even, yeah, because like even in like even with kids, how do you speak with parenting and your children? How do
Yeah.
you speak to your
Yes,
child? How do
yes.
you know, I know that in my house that we don't say shut up. It's
Yes.
not allowed
yes,
to shut up a child, whoever that child is. We don't say it's like I would pounce on you, even if you're the parent of that child, as long as you're in my house.
yes.
You know, they're saying something. If you need them to be quiet, you tell them that you be quiet, and you must explain why they need to be quiet.
Yes,
Wow.
You know,
yes, you don't make them
Just-
feel like
exactly.
Yes.
So just, I had a friend that we're no longer friends, right? And so Facebook now brings up, you know, memories of maybe when we're still friends a long time ago. And then I just realized that, oh, wow, because she did something really to me. She was my maid of honor, and then she stole my money on my wedding.
Sad.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like, it was a big thing. My dad was going to lock her up and all of that. It was like a major thing. And I was still making this defense. Like, immediately, my husband came and said that the money isn't, there's something wrong, our money is incomplete. And she was the one I had put in charge as per, I don't want to have this kind of conversation. So let my maid of honor just
yeah.
be the one in charge of it. And then the money, my husband counts the money that is paid after making me stand on Louis Vuitton for how many hours. It's like, because I was like, I'm tired. She was like, that's so weird.
Yes, it's pretty. Yes.
So to the pockets are empty.
And
Yeah.
then the money wasn't, you know, so my dad, immediately he said that this money is not coming. My dad was like, it's your maid of honor that stole it. And then I was like, no, why would you say that? You know, this girl, let's go. My dad said, I keep quiet. How many years have you lived? And
That's
truly, right? So I see this pattern.
Yeah.
I see her comments, Facebook memories, and I'm seeing patterns that they were all, like if I posted something, they were all,
If you say, see this your girl,
yes,
see this your big head.
yes. I'm just saying, but because of the kind of person I am, those things
Yeah,
didn't
don't
used to
matter.
didn't
Yeah.
matter to me.
Yeah.
But it's now that I clearly, like, it's never a, I see, yes, get here, it's do this, do that. It's always like a
it's
beg.
always,
So in your
yeah.
mind now, you're feeling like something. Like, I was just seeing all the comments. Like, when they bring up a memory that I posted something, then I'll see her comment on that many years ago, and
It
was
now begins to
always-
make sense.
make
To be
sense.
loud.
Yeah.
became very, very
be loud.
loud. Like, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they were all negatives.
Yeah,
all negatives.
those jokes, those sarcasm.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the name of joke.
Jokes, come on.
Insulting
Not joke.
you.
Yeah.
And it's good that it didn't even let it get to you, because there's a you receiving that, and then there's the affecting you.
Yes, you believing it.
Exactly, because I know at some point we got to a point where we started to have like back and forth, like you're shouting, I'm shouting. I never shout in an argument. Like I feel like there's nothing that we cannot amicably resolve. And so one day you find yourself really screaming. I'm like, when did I turn to this person?
Why did I become
So
this
you don't
person?
even know how much is eaten into you until you begin to react in ways that you naturally, like I won't shout, literally, and then you'll shout, and it's not even so long. Like, this has really affected me.
True.
So it's the little things. It's
It's the little things.
Yeah.
And what she said about not shouting at shutting children off.
yes.
So when you trace back for people that emotionally abuse others, you can trace it back. You can trace it back to how they were raised. You can trace it back to how they were being talked to when they were
They were
younger.
being
True.
When they were
True.
being, yes.
They were being abused.
So they were being abused as well. So that is what they know. So sometimes they're not doing it because they want to be mean or nasty.
Exactly.
They're doing it because that is who
It's what they
are.
know.
That is what they know.
Yeah.
So, and you know, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Believe that.
Believe
Yeah.
them. That is who they are. So
Yes.
they can't do better.
Don't give excuses for them.
Don't give excuses.
Don't
give excuses.
for them.
That is so scary.
you know,
really scary.
yeah, you know, the realization of it is, it's scary indeed when you find out that those little things, those
This is who the person is.
Yes,
And you
insults
love
of,
this person.
yes, you care about them. The insults of your appearance, you know, and I said, see you, which can't you wear? And every
See your
time you-
belly.
do something about this, your big tummy.
We don't like that
Only
Me, I always do it.
That's a girl. Like me, I say, but I
always
girl,
do
but
it.
you're right.
Okay, so push it,
life.
push
Life.
your buttons. Yes, you know, it happens with friends, it happens with partners, right? They know that you really get upset with this, and they will continually push your buttons.
Yeah,
Deliberately.
it's not being sensitive for me.
Okay.
Like if I say see your
Yes.
belly and you react in a certain way, and I can tell that it's an issue for you, I cut it. Some people don't know how to take jokes. Me, I can take a lot of things. So maybe later I'm like, oh, that did not actually sound right. But some people don't. And then some people are actually working on it. So maybe I had like a fibroid issue or something, and then you go see your belly. I'm like, you don't know. You know. So it's a sensitivity, just knowing, like being able to study moods to know that, okay, that was not okay
That
by the
wasn't
person. Hope that didn't hurt you. I'm sorry about it. You know.
And then just
move
being
on.
able to say so. Like,
Yes.
oh no, that's offensive to me, and the other
Exactly.
person admitting like, okay, I'm sorry.
True
I'm
that.
doing again.
Yes, so that's one way to address it. When it happens, set your boundaries.
Yeah, cut it.
Say,
Nip
no,
it in the bud.
I don't like this. I don't like having this conversation. I don't like the way you talk to me. So if you do that and now they continue, then you know that there is a big problem with that.
True.
Yeah.
I like to get
Yes, I'm very.
personal with you a little, if you will allow us.
Yes, please.
Right?
Okay.
Yes, we'll come to that after the short break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Emotional Master Convos. And I'm still here with these beautiful ladies. So, Dr. Amala, I would like to know, how did your marriage of 16 years start? And how did it end? And what was the deal breaker for you?
Okay.
I know it's 16 years is a long time, so let's see how you summarize it.
Okay. How did it start? We were both in church together.
Okay.
And yes, our church. Yes, so you know how it is then in church, oh, this person is very zealous for the things of God, and it just seemed like, I mean, we're born again, tongue talking, spirit filled, heaven bound. I mean, what else can there be?
Bound.
Yes. So what else can there be? And I think I was really young and really naive, and all that tripped me that,
Yeah.
okay, this person, I mean, if you think of someone that is very serious and zealous with the things of God, in your mind, you're thinking there's really nothing else that can't be worked out.
Sure.
Even when other things that were red flags were very obvious. The temper, the control. Yes, exactly. You know, the temper, the wanting to control everything, the outbursts of rage, you know, but you just be like, oh, this person is work in progress.
So
You know how you can spiritualize
there was
things?
control.
Yes.
If he loves God, anything can change.
Anything can change. The Holy Spirit can
Just
change
work on
anything.
him.
But then we tend to forget that working on your character is not. The Holy Spirit can help you, but you have to make the effort. So if somebody doesn't really want to change, you can't change a person. Even the Holy Spirit is not going to foist that change
Yeah,
on
a
the
person
person.
must submit
That person has
himself
to.
or herself.
Exactly. So, and you know, so back to how we met, it was basically that, and then the fact that, you see, this thing we say about not being unequally yoked, I'm learning now with hindsight that it's not just about the person's spirituality. So unequal yokes is across many things.
Yeah.
It's across your social status, it's across your background, it's across your values, your significant life experiences.
Yes.
You know, so once there's an imbalance in those things, because before your spirituality in the terms of what we believers call spirituality, there was a person.
Yeah.
Yes, there was an individual, there was a young girl, there was a young boy that had values, that has had experiences before you now go kakaka, yeah, I mean, you know, with church and all that. So all that is not thrown away before you become the spiritual person. But when we talk about unequal yokes in church, we just talk about the spiritual part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As if
Talk
all
about
the other
believers,
parts.
as if it's
To say a believer.
Exactly. It's not exactly. So that was there. And of course, you know how it is. And really, I think sometimes, you know, ministers, pastors should actually take the back seat when it comes to some of these things, you know, with all due respect. If you're not a professional counselor, you shouldn't get involved in counseling, and let the people that are trained to do it, because that was a major challenge that we had.
Yeah.
So everybody thinks that this person is excellent. So you now start thinking, maybe I'm too loud, maybe I'm not spiritual enough, maybe I'm not praying enough.
Yeah.
But these are not spiritual issues, they are character issues.
Yeah.
They are character issues. They were not really spiritual issues per se. So, I mean, somebody continuously criticizing you, threatening you, those, you know, emotional abuse, a lot of threats. So at some point, you sign out. You sign out. So if someone is always threatening you, I'm going to leave you, I'm going to divorce you, the solution to this is divorce. So at some point, I mentally got divorced. Mentally.
Yeah.
I was there, but I wasn't there. I was literally telling myself that you need to have a plan B, because it is out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. So if someone is consistently telling you this thing, it's going to happen someday. So I was there, but mentally I was preparing for when this was going to happen. So when it happened, of course there'll still be the shock and the fact that you've put in so much.
Yeah.
You have put in so much. Because one of the things that creates an imbalance in an emotionally abusive relationship is that the weaker, will I call it the weaker partner, but somebody is not as assertive as the person should be.
Yeah.
And that's where the sense of self-worth comes in.
We should not be shy to call that person the abuser, even though it's emotional abuse.
Right? Yeah. So that is where having a sense of self-worth comes in.
Yeah.
If you didn't have that sense of self-worth before you go in, most likely you're not going to be good at creating healthy boundaries. You're not going to be assertive. You're going to always want to keep the peace to the detriment of your own self, of your own emotions and your own feelings. And over time, when that becomes a consistent pattern, somebody starts treating you with contempt, thinking that you're always going to come running back.
Yeah.
But at some point, you get tired.
Definitely.
You get tired, especially when over time, if for some reason your eyes begin to open, and that is one thing they don't want to happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't want you to grow.
Yeah.
They don't want you to excel, because in excelling, in growing, your social circles are changing. Your knowledge is changing. And then you begin to see that this is not right.
Actually, the scales fall off your eyes.
Yes, the scales fall off your eyes, and you begin to see that no, this is not how this thing should be. So in a nutshell, I think that was it. At some point, I just knew that no.
So I am sure that must have been difficult because you have 4 children.
Yes, I do.
So convincing them, right? How did you convince them to understand that this marriage is ended? Did they know? And are they okay?
Ironically, you would. Okay, well, I have I have like 2 generations of children. So I have 2 older ones and 2 younger ones.
Okay.
I have a 19-year-old.
Wow.
Yes, so they see. Children see. And that is the more reason why you need to take them out of that environment. Because what they see at that age forms a picture. It forms a picture. It forms a way of life for them.
Yeah.
So, personally for me, when it came to the point of saying, I'm done, I wasn't just doing it for myself. I understood that this was happening because somebody saw dysfunction and normalized it.
Yeah.
Yes, so this is going to happen again if I allow these ones to see dysfunction and normalize it. So they see. It wasn't difficult to. It wasn't really. Of course, they'll have their emotional issues and all that, but ultimately, we didn't need to talk too much to them because they had seen.
Yeah.
And even as young as children are, they know that this is not how things should be, especially since they see you with other families. My parents have been married for like 50-something years, so they've seen us in that environment.
Yeah.
They've seen my siblings. They've seen other people around us, so they know that when they come home, the dynamics are different. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Yes, so, so it wasn't,
Can you share examples of these different dynamics?
So they see the way you're being talked to. And
Treated as a woman.
they see the way you're being treated as a woman. They see the way they themselves are being treated as the children. They see that they are not being talked to properly. They are not being loved like they should be, So they just know. Children know. They see even how you respond to them when you come for visiting day in school.
True.
They see how other parents interact with their children when they come. It's when they start talking, that these things matter to these kids.
True.
Things as little as how you react when you come for visiting day and their friends come around you. Little things. And it's when they open up to talk, you'll be like, oh my God, this thing meant anything to this child.
There's a reason why you must give them an opportunity to actually speak. Because I know that one time we had an opportunity like that at home. We called our parents out. They're like, you are so concerned about your personal issues that you forget us. Like, we're here. Like, it's you people we are looking up to, right? We're the ones that you gave birth to us, so you owe us to take care of us. But when you have those issues amongst yourselves, there's so much focus on your mom is wrong, your dad is wrong. What about us?
Exactly.
And you really, for them, they're like, you people see that much. Oh yes, we do. And we're a lot younger then. Like the visiting day thing. But like when other people come with their parents, we see the dynamics. Or people are going to chorus where if you don't do, I'm not going for the visiting day. If you don't go, I'm not going. I'm like,
I tell you, that is a deal breaker for ending my marriage. That thing, you say you're not going for PTA. Yeah.
oh, you don't see them who quarrel. They say, oh, you know what?
If I want to be a single man, let me come and be a single man. Let me
Yeah. So
This is horrible.
both partners have to be.
Yes. Parents.
You must find a way to draw the line.
If you're in the marriage, be in the marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You should.
Oh, wow. We're going on another short break. When we come back, we'll talk more with Dr. Amala. We want to learn from you, like, okay, how do we not be in such a situation?
Sure.
Right? How do we get it right?
Because I want to know me that I'm not married.
What was the deal breaker? Was there, or it was just basically?
That pattern that moved. Think about it.
Let me think about it.
Stay with us. We're going on a short break. Welcome back, Emotional Master Convos. We're still talking about emotional abuse in relationships and marriage. So, Dr. Mala, I'd like to know from your experience, what did you learn from that experience, right? So, some other persons will not make such a mistake in their marriage, in their relationship.
Okay, so what did I
Don't forget the
learn?
deal breakers, right?
Oh yeah. The deal breakers. I can't really pinpoint anything in any point in particular. This is 16 years.
Yes, since it was a continuous experience.
It was a continuous experience.
Yeah, a build up. Okay.
Yes, it was a build up. But it was just that, like I said, at some point I started considering plan B. And plan B for me was something this person keeps voicing out may happen. So if this happens, what are you going to do? How are you going to take care of your children? So plan B for me was to go back, get more training. I needed to be able to stand on my feet. So I had to build up my career and all that. So at the time I started having a plan B, I knew that, in marriage, you shouldn't be having a plan B. So when I said conceiving a plan B, I knew that this is we're in injury time, So at the point the papers came, I was ready.
So he filed.
Yes, he did. I was ready. I wasn't even sure. I had no emotions in me. I had become numb. So I'm not even sure I cried about it, or I don't know, but I was ready because mentally, maybe like 5-6 years before then, I had checked out. So I was there because 4 children, the society, what will people say, the stigma and all that. So the church, because we're pastors in church.
Wow.
Yes. So, but at the time I saw it, I was like, okay.
Sorry to ask. So in these 5-6 years, like when you've mentally checked out, did you still have to perform all of your marital duties to your husband? How is that?
You blunt something.
You just block
it.
You
just block it.
You just block
you were
it.
indeed numb, yeah.
Yes, I had numb. You just block it.
You just block it.
I just be moving. You just block it and just be moving. So it's not a good place to dance. That's why you must always check in with your partner. It's very important. You must always check in with your partner. If your marriage is important to you, yes, you must have times that you check in and see
where are you?
Where are we?
Exactly.
Yes, are we even still
Are you
married?
still here?
Are you still here? Like, is it your body
Because,
or
like,
your
I feel like
spirit?
there are a lot of marriages that are in this, like at this point.
Yeah, a lot of people have checked out.
Yes,
in their
many people
marriage.
have. Like, you see that they're just going through the motions. It's like, oh, we know we have to do this for the children. Wake up in the morning,
Yeah,
breakfast. This
now
is your
robots,
job, and then at night you come
artificial
together, you do your
intelligence.
thing. You're like,
Fulfilling duties.
But then you say that this is what you went through, but he's the one who filed. So what was the plan? You were planning on just staying as long as and just...
Well, long term, I had actually told myself that by the time my baby is out of school, by then nobody will say, oh, you didn't train your children, or you left your children.
So you were just...
I was
waiting
it out because really I had it up to here, all the efforts at counseling, and that's where I said,
So you went
Church,
for counseling, yeah?
I did.
Okay, and he did not?
Well, he didn't really see the need to, especially
just
because he
spiritual
was,
to the-
yeah, you know, that kind of thing. And then church counseling is a lot of times imbalanced, except that now some churches are trying to, you know, add some kind of professional structure
Yes,
to it.
yes.
That is my concern with some church counseling, where the counseling is geared towards keeping you in that marriage,
Submits.
not addressing the issue.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
They
it's
don't
almost
address
as if
the
they're
issue.
afraid
Yeah.
to say if it's too much.
To
go.
tell the man you're wrong.
Yes.
Instead,
How dare
submit
you.
or
Just submit.
just manage.
Other people
And
are
you find
managing.
people that are depressed and
Other people are
losing their
managing.
No,
mind.
then
Yeah,
you know when your
can
mama
go and
tells
make your
you-
marriage work.
When your mama tells you, look at us now, we've been 67 years, you think it's everything that is okay with us. I'm like, hey, everything is not okay, why are you still there?
So yeah, continue.
So, I can't even remember what I saw.
So
What was
he
I talking
filed.
about?
He filed, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
so he
okay.
filed, and I was like, okay, let's do this, because typically I would have said no, I don't want a scandal. So what do I do? And then you give me a new set of rules, and then we continue. You know, but
Wow.
so yeah, so I had gotten to a point where
Wow.
no,
Going
set
in
of
there.
rules.
A new set of rules, so against your will to continue. And you know, when they know that you want it more than they want it, the emotional abuse goes to another level.
yeah.
So that's what you were
Triples.
saying with your girlfriend earlier.
My
on.
ex,
Your
yeah.
ex, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah. When they know that, okay, they can do everything to
You'll
keep
still
you.
be there.
Yeah, then you know it's not.
It's a lot of fear of how my children are going to turn out. I'm going to be a single parent. How am I going to raise my children alone? What is the church going to say? What is the society going to say? I didn't have a problem with my family, because it was even my father that said, you need to come back home. This is enough. You know,
Awesome.
yes, oh yes, my
Family
family.
must be a support system.
Oh,
yeah.
and as in,
Don't lose your child over a marriage.
Yes, oh yes, my parents, my siblings, it was like everybody said no. We had a conference call, and they said, no, this is enough. You've done this, you've tried, you've done well. We're proud of you. My father said, I'm proud of you. You have excelled in your career. You have done well. I have nothing to be ashamed of. And if anybody wants to put you to shame, the person should address me. You need to come home.
Awesome.
You know, so at that point, it was like, if the people that have me are not ashamed of me, every other person doesn't
that's your
know.
business.
You can
yes.
Your
go
business, yes.
yourself.
So that's really what a lot of us are afraid of: the stigma, the shame, the children. How are you going to deal with them? And that's where a woman being empowered is very,
Very
important.
Please, no
Very
such
important.
thing as
Yes.
stay and take care of
Yes,
the
very,
children.
very important, because that also is what one of the things that keeps us in that kind of situation. How to avoid it? Marry your friend, number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, as
Number one.
Christians, we don't want to be, I feel like there's so much divorce in the church, it's scary. And you'd expect that since it's the church, would know better and do better, right? So when you see people, the marriages that you look up to, exactly, it's painful. I don't want, I'm afraid of a divorce, right? And so many times I'm looking up to, you know, people who are in the church, people that I look up to say, okay, you know what, if this can work, mine can work too. So like, what do we need to know so that we don't even go into it in the first place?
Yeah, you should be afraid of a divorce. Divorce is painful,
Can you imagine?
extremely so, even if you know that that is the only option on the table. So people should not think of it as something that if it's not working, I'm just going to divorce.
Yeah.
It's painful. So I think what do we need to know? Start by choosing right. And even though it sounds overflogged, but you need to build that friendship even before you start talking about, are we getting married or are we not? Because a lot of times I found out that there were no communication lines. You can't sit down and talk without it being turned against you. Maybe what you say used to criticize you, to belittle you. Do you know anything? What exactly do you know? And you know, the silence treatments. So you need to build that friendship. It's very important. And marry your kind. And that's where we get to when we talk about unequal yokes.
Yeah,
There's a
marry
reason
your
why
kind.
you have to marry your
What
kind.
type of
your
person,
person,
yes.
the kind of person that has had similar, it can't be totally the same,
Yeah.
but similar life experiences. You'll be shocked that somebody sees money for pizza as a pot of soup.
Exactly.
You know, so I mean, because those are
Exactly.
they're seeing
I was
things
about
from
to
two
give that
different
example.
lenses. You know, they're seeing things from two different lenses. So you want to go for a weekend in Radisson Blue. What happened to your house?
Yes,
Understand?
you're
What's
having
wrong
that
with
kind
that?
of
What's
bed.
you know that kind? You don't have bed. You know AC. We have AC.
Yes.
Use that money and cook a feast or something. You know, so those kind of things that they sound trivial. But it's by the time you have to stay with this person for a long time, you'll see that
you
they
now
are
realize
important.
they are very important.
They're very important.
Especially because you get married to people to be with them.
Exactly.
They are part of your life.
They're part of your life. They're part of your life. So marry your kind is very important. And then always checking.
Yeah.
Always checking. How are we doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
How are we doing? And there's no shame in seeking for help. I
Yeah.
had to do some therapy when my marriage ended. And, you know, it took off that stigma of, oh, we're going for counseling. There's no shame in it.
Yes.
It's actually important when you start getting counseling for the little things, because sometimes we think we know. And, you know, like I had said earlier, these things people do, a lot of them is childhood dysfunction that is playing out. So this is what this person knows.
Yeah.
So if you're going to rework an adult, it's not a very easy thing to do. So a lot of work has to go into it. So there's no shame in actually looking for help, seeking for help, and seeking for help on time.
Yes.
And
before it becomes too
before
late.
it becomes too late. And then don't take your partner for granted. No matter how familiar you think you are, you know, no matter how much you think this person is eating out of your palms, it just takes snap like this, you know,
Yeah.
and the person says, I am done. And you'll be like, how?
I thought I was in control.
I thought, you know,
Yeah.
when did it happen? What changed you? Who changed you? You know, because, and that just means the person was not paying attention. Because if he was, or if she was, she would have noticed when you're no longer as sorry as you used to be.
Yeah.
You know, because before, you'll be like, sorry, oh, please. Before you even open your mouth, I'm sorry, oh.
Yeah.
If the person is sensitive, you know that you're not as sorry as you used to be. You're not kneeling down and begging anymore.
Yeah.
It shows you're gaining some strength. And a lot of times that comes with when people start speaking to you. Because at some point, I knew that something was wrong. I started looking for help. I started talking to people. So it's when people say to you, what are you talking about? You'll be like, was this thing bad like that before? Do you understand? Because when you're in the middle of it, it's become your normal. It's become your normal. And if you're not
And
assertive...
this key thing that she just said, that making sure that you're not isolated.
Yeah.
You are surrounded by love. Like, so your family.
Yeah. We
your
need the support
friends,
system.
People,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah.
Isolation is the main game of an abuser.
Yes,
Yeah.
now.
They
Yes.
isolate you. You
Remove
don't
you,
have friends.
control you.
You don't have
keep
part of
Your
the
friends are
control.
going to ruin our
You
relationship.
don't have friends. So I'm like for me, I'm just starting to make new friends.
Yeah, we
it's
talked
still
about
yes,
that,
we talked
yeah.
about that, and it's
Yeah.
still a bit awkward, you know, because you don't have friends. You can't be going out.
Okay,
Going
I
to
had my
What-
friends
what
in my
are you-
house
what
for
are you
how
doing
many days,
You
married
know,
woman. Now
you
sure people
don't
say
even
to
come
me,
to visit
"This
you, be like,
married
what-
women."
Why is this person coming to your house in the early morning? What's the person? She does not
No,
have work.
She must be
In my house,
responsible
she must be
woman.
responsible. You don't have work, so you know. So you cut off all those things to keep the peace. But that is
And now
tactical.
they still can't keep the peace.
Exactly.
Wow, we're out of time, but this session was enlightening. I know it also was refreshing to someone listening, and an eye-opener.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, you know, and you know, I know one very good counselor. Yeah, his name is Taribo Joseph. He's Emotional Masseur. So you could just send a mail to emotionalmasseur@gmail.com and
follow.
Yes, and follow the Emotional Masseur on IG, and you could get help, because I also, through our NGO, reach out to those struggling in an abusive relationship. Thank you again, Dr. Amala,
Pleasure.
for sharing. Thank you for Belinda. Thank you, Presh, for this was an experience, right?
I think you need to do another like a
Yeah.
part 2 of it.
No,
Yeah.
we need to, because
There's so
we've
much.
not,
to
there's so
unpack.
much to unpack.
so much
It
to
is
unpack.
important, you know. Someone said, why are you doing this? Talking about, I said, these things are happening, right?
Yeah,
So
we need to
we
talk
should
about
not
it.
hide with our culture, right? To say, oh, it is not a taboo that you're married, and it's happening.
Mhm.
So let's learn
Every
from
day.
it.
Every
So
day,
if the
every day.
rate of divorce is going higher, we should learn from it.
Yes, we shouldn't. Yeah. Why?
Yeah,
We
yes,
should
and
ask
there are
the right
some
questions.
persons that need to be rescued from some marriages. We need to save
Yeah.
people.
We need to bring people
There are a lot
out
of depressed
from
people.
bondage.
There are some that have committed suicide because they were not strong enough
Enough to leave.
to leave.
I mean, I personally feel like, you know how the Bible says your steps are ordered? I feel like my steps were ordered here today. To be honest, because I'm in that phase of my life where I'm trying to decide, oh, who is it? Who is the right person, right? Like, you don't know how much I've gleaned, you know, from just listening to all of this. It's a blessing. I can't even take it for granted.
we will have a part 2 of it.
We should.
We should have it, because we've not exhausted. As a matter of fact, you know, some things I wrote, signs and pointers to emotional abuse, I've not even started. So there will be a part 2. Stick around and join us again on another episode. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for
Thank
and I'm
you for
Taribo
having
Joseph,
us.
your emotional muscle, signing out.